Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. Hey, look what I got for you today. I have the DJI Air 3. Now, I ordered this on a Tuesday. It came in on a Thursday. Well, today it's Saturday. I ended up out at the racetrack all day on Friday, so I couldn't fly. Had a commitment out there. And this morning I had another commitment at a local car show, taking care of some business there as a judge. But now it's the afternoon and it's hot. It's in the mid 90s. I'll put it up on the screen here. I think it said 93, but it feels all of that. And we got a little bit of cloud cover. When the clouds come over, it's not too bad. But when you're in the direct sunlight, trust me, it's flipping hot out here. But as promised, I'm out at Dedication Point, and I'm going to get out of the way so you can see where we're at here. And I forgot to bring my tripod, so I just kind of have it set up on a little selfie stick here so that I can record this. But anyway, let's get to the subject at hand, and that is this beautiful drone, the DJI Air 3. We're going to take it up. We're not going to do anything too special with it today, other than you know me, I always just send it out over the canyon. So we're not going to do any calibration. The only time I've had this on was to do the updates. There were some firmware updates, etc., that needed to be done. And obviously you have to register the drone. I did all that at home. And now we're going to take it out and fly it. Now, again, like I said, we're not going to do any calibrations unless the drone asks for them. If the drone asks for a calibration, we'll do it. Other than that, we're just going to put it up and launch it, and we are going to send it straight over the side of the canyon. I don't know if you can see my landing pad down here, but in any case, enough jibber jabber. Let's quit messing around. Let's get this bird in the air. Hey, okay guys, we are fired up and ready to go here. I had just a little situation. It didn't like the SD card. I had a brand new Samsung SD card in there and it didn't like it. So I always plan for emergencies. I had a SanDisk Extreme with me, so I put that in there and it seems to like that. So I don't know why. I know I had formatted it in the drone before that, but anyway, it just wasn't having it. But anyway, we want to check the safety menu. We're in bypass, which we want. And I set all this after I did the firmware update, so to make sure that I had it right. We do have that optimal advanced return to home. Auto return to home is set at 35 meters if we go into RTH. Not asking for compass or IMU calibration, so we're not going to do it. And then we can look at the battery, but of course the battery, that's a brand new battery, looks good. 0 cycles on it. And by the way, you will notice that the battery is down to 90%. This is the same battery that I used to do a firmware update. So let's quit messing around here. I want to make sure, yeah, I had to check and make sure that the Action 2 camera was going, because I was messing around there and I didn't know if I'd shut it off or not. So anyway, let's do an auto takeoff, and it's bright. I need all of these 700 nits to see this screen, trust me. So let's touch the auto takeoff, hold it down. Takeoff. And there we go, there's the drone. That is the first time that I've had this drone fired up at all or in the air. I've had it on. You can see where I'm standing there. And I got the camera. I'm going to stand behind the bench here. You can see the camera right down there, the Action 2 camera. So really, we're about right. I don't know, let's go straight up before we move off and see if it gets a precision landing. See if it sees its landing spot there, but that's just kind of a side. I'm going to drop, well, we need to start recording, don't we? We are in 4K 60, that's perfect. Let's go ahead and start recording. And you know what? Is it in HDR? I don't know, let's go look at that real quick. I'm clicking on that icon there. Yeah, no, there's nothing there that says anything but normal. We got normal, night, and slow motion. So let's go ahead and start recording again. And we're in 4K 60. Everything is in auto. Let me drop that camera down and got the antennas pointed straight at the drone. Reverse and up now, reverse and up. And there we are, right over the side of the canyon. Drone handles it like a boss, man. And boy, I am standing in the direct sun, and it is hot out here, folks. And it is so bright. Let's see, we're going about 12 meters per second. It's honestly, it's difficult for me to see this screen because we are in really, really direct sunlight here. So let's spin this guy around a little bit. And I'm going to see, yeah, I'm even trying to shade the screen, you know, because there's no other shade here, just trying to shade it with my body, and it's difficult. So, and what happened there? Yeah, well, it wants us to bind. Okay, let's do that. We're going to bind now. I've got flyaway coverage, so we might as well do that. Yeah, and you guys won't see that part of the screen because that's got some... Yeah, and it wants me to connect to network, which I can't... well, I could do, but I'm not going to do here. So we're going to go back to go fly. We'll worry about binding later. Let's go straight forward. Sorry about that. You always run into something with a new drone. So we're going to move forward here just down the canyon, and we're only 9.5 meters higher than our takeoff point. So, and you know, why do you have a drone that has such a good connection like this one does? Because I am shading the controller in order to get a better view, and I am pointed away from the drone. And you wouldn't know it by looking at our screen here because we've got a great looking feed. And in fact, you know, I can't really go much lower because if I do, we'll have some terrain issues. So I just am going to turn off my action camera here for a second, because otherwise that thing will overheat to the point that it'll turn itself off. So I shut that guy down. We won't turn it back on again until we get ready to land the drone. Beauty of having the DJI mic system that you can record right to the mic, so we can get good audio. Or I guess that it bears mentioning, I could hook the mic system up to the controller too, but we're not doing that. So what you see off in the distance there is the Swan Falls Dam, and I kind of wanted to come this way so that we could actually check out that 3x zoom and see if we could get a picture of the dam. Now I cannot remember if I can zoom in 60 frames per second or not, but we're going to find out. So I can see the 3 is grayed out, so maybe not. Let me stop recording and see what happens. So we're going to stop recording now. And there's the 3. The 3 is brightened up again, so let's hit that 3. And I'm going to see if I can kind of, what I think is the dam's kind of centered up on the screen, and we're going to hit that 3. Maybe. There we go. So that is Swan Falls Dam, and that's with the tele camera. So that's how much that guy will bring you in. That's pretty cool. Let's start recording again. And again, yeah, we're in 60 frames per second, so that's great. So evidently you have to stop recording to do that. I don't think this has an explore mode like the Mavic 3. And again, I'm kind of having to see if I can shield the controller here to see what the heck I'm doing. And we're moving along at 12 meters per second. Swan Falls Dam's pretty cool. You guys have seen me out here with a lot of drones. And this tele camera helps us get up close and personal. It looks like they've dropped the level of the river a little bit. It was pretty high. There's still a lot of water in the reservoirs, but they definitely aren't pushing as much of it downriver as they were. I'll tell you one thing, there's a ton of flies out here. I'm having to swat flies, so if you hear me swatting around, that's what I'm doing. Okay, and so just to show you what it looks like, we're going to stop recording again and go back to 1x. And that's how far we are actually from that dam. Let's kick this baby into sport mode and see what she'll do. Well, I accidentally hit the C1 button there, and I dropped the camera there. Sorry about that. Okay, swatting flies and everything else all at the same time, but we're in sport mode, full stick forward. Let's kick this guy in gear. There's 17, 18, 19, 20 meters per second. And I think, yeah, advertised, I believe, is 21. Yeah, there's 21 right there. We hit 21. And that is about 47 miles an hour. And just as they tell us, yeah, it's going that fast. That little, I'm going to stop here for a second. You see that little parking lot down there? That's for horse trailers and stuff. And I can tell you, looking at it, I can see something parked in there, but I can't tell what it is. So, oh gosh, I didn't start recording. Well, that's good. We can click right into 3x zoom. Yeah, it looks like it's just weeds, doesn't it? Yeah, they need to grade that off again. Well, so much for that. Okay, we're going to go back to 1x. Start recording. That's the problem. When you have to stop recording to change cameras, I find that with if I'm not in Explorer mode on the Mavic 3, oh, we got a boat down there too. Yeah, it's too bad we're not a little closer to him. We could track him, and he's just going to go back to a boat ramp here, I'm sure. Yeah, and that's definitely where we need that zoom, huh? I'm gonna try the zoom wheel. Look, the zoom wheel took me to 3x, but I have a feeling that is just crop. That's not the other camera. That's just crop on the sensor, on the wide angle sensor. I'm sure is what that is. And yeah, and I'm starting to get a little break up on FPV here. We are out almost 3 kilometers, but what I can tell you what's happening is we are getting blocked by terrain. So let's go back out to 1x, and I'm going to stop recording again. I'm going to switch cameras, and I'm going to start recording again. And let's take a look at that guy. He is going to go. We're going to grab some altitude here so we get a little better signal. See if I can get above terrain, and he is going to load his boat up, and we might be able to see it online here. So let's see, I think I can crop in on this camera too, so let's see how that looks. Yeah, we can. Look at that. We can get right, 9. I didn't know, yeah, so 9x zoom. So there he is. It looks like one boat is just unloading, so he's probably going to go get his trailer, back it down to the boat ramp there and load it up, and you got another guy that's just unloading. So let me zoom out again, and again we're on the 3x zoom, and let me move around so you can kind of get a better look at the dam here. Off on the left hand side, that's actually the part of the dam that is the power plant, the modern power plant that was built I think in the late 1980s, maybe early 90s. And then to off on the left hand side is the new part. If you look to the right, that is the old part of the dam that was functional up until the 80s, I believe, and it was built in like 1900. I mean, a long time ago, and it was to power the silver mines up in the Oahe Mountains. And then you can see the spillways there right next to it. Pretty cool, kind of a cool facility. Picking up that camera again, and again we're in 3x zoom here, and this is where that telephoto comes in handy. Look how it brings the cliffs right in. I mean, you get that compression, that telephoto compression. There's a good shot right there. Okay, I am going to again stop recording, switch back to the 1x, start recording again, and that gives you a look of kind of what that looks like there. I mean, that is and we don't need the rule of thirds here. It's more interesting down below. So let's get a little lower, and you can see what we were looking at, and you can see the advantage of having that 3x telephoto lens. It's not a crop. It's the same sensor as on the same color science as on the made wide angle camera. So let's flip around, and I guess you see those mountains. I don't know if you can see them, the mountains off in the distance there. That's where the silver mines were, and that's where that dam was making power for those silver mines. But let's come back this way, and again we're in sport mode. Let's see how fast this guy will go. And once I get around the bend there, I can drop in altitude because I'll be able to, as the drone goes down, have the antennas pointed directly at the drone. And we're moving right along. It must be a little bit of a headwind because just about 19 meters per second. Yeah, there's 20. Yeah, now we're hitting 21, maybe a little over. So that's 47 miles an hour. That's not bad, is it? Yeah, we're at 53% battery, so we got plenty of battery here. And I'm hearing in this RC2 controller, there's a fan, and it's on. It is just after 4 o'clock my time here. I'm looking at my watch. It's 96 degrees right now, and we are standing in direct sunlight, no shade. And I have to say, you know, you heard me complaining a little bit about this controller, but I can see it. It's not like I can't see the controller, so, or you know what I'm doing with the drone. It's pretty cool. So we're dropping down here and we're testing that. Yeah, it's only dropping at about 3 meters per second here. So we'll see. We'll test that ascent speed and descent speed. But let's get this guy. Let's get this guy back to us here and get down close to the river. And boy, I'll tell you what, these darn flies here are, so anywhere you have livestock, and there's a lot of livestock around here, boy, do you get flies. Man, oh man, and they are all over the place here. So again, full tilt forward, and we're at negative 80 meters. And I mean, I'm pointed right down at the drone down there. Let's see if we can get down. Let's see how low we can get here. We can get this guy down low. Yeah, so there we're 120 meters negative altitude, going right over the river there, and I've got eyes on the car and the drone right there. This is really cool. This kind of gives you a good view. So you know what? Let's try this guy in telephoto. Now, normally I don't think you'd use the telephoto when you're this, you know, close to terrain, etc. But let's try it. And I'm going to go back into normal mode. That way I make sure I have all of my obstacle avoidance. So I'm going to turn off, I'm going to stop recording here for a second, switch to that 3x. And I need to pick up the camera, start recording. Pick up that camera so you guys can see, and boy, that really brings us in. And look at how close that brings in the terrain. Yeah, this is cool, isn't it? Yeah, let's bring it on over the rapids down here. And we're about 12 meters per second in normal mode. I am right almost directly above the drone here where I'm standing. I love these rapids, so we get over these rapids and we'll see if we can get it back into the wide angle and see if we can get right down low on them. And boy, the rapids are pretty rapid right now, aren't they? Gosh darn, it is hot, gentlemen and ladies. It is hot out here. And having the kind of 360 obstacle avoidance really gives you confidence in a situation like this. Okay, we're going to go back to the wide angle. And you can see how far we actually were from the rapids. And let's move on forward. And again, let's see, let's get down a little bit more. Yeah, we're down about 126 meters negative altitude. Dropping that camera down so you can see these rapids. Really cool shot there. I can't see if there's anybody fishing down there or not. I would like to be able to tell you, but it is so bright. I can see the screen, but I'm telling you, we are right in the bright sunlight. So let's point that camera straight down and see if you can see any fish in the rapids here. Definitely we got a reflection off the water, don't we? Okay, let's do a slow reveal. Pick that camera up. And yeah, that ought to look pretty good. 33% battery. So this guy, heck, I think we ought to just let it go into low battery return to home. And there's the side of the canyon. So let's turn and go on down. And what you're going to see is when it goes into return to home, and you can see the sky with when I was talking about the scattered high clouds. And it's not so bad when one of those thin clouds comes over, but I'm in direct sunlight right now and it's brutal. It is brutal. But boy, I wanted to get this flight in, so that's why I did it. I'm glad I came out. I'm glad I took the time to get out here. This is just nothing but a ton of fun, and I can't wait to edit this up and show you guys this video. What a piece of technology, and we haven't scratched the surface with everything that this guy can do. Again, and I hear a car. I can hear the cars down below there in the canyon. I'm directly up above them. And you'll see, it'll be interesting to watch this guy go into low battery return to home. And we should get that any minute now. If you're looking at that battery graph, in fact, let's touch on it here so you can see. And it'll tell us, 7 minutes till forced landing. And until battery, a minute and 46 seconds until return to home. But we're going away. We're getting further away, so that will compress that number as we go further away. And let's see, I've had the screen recorder on for about 20 minutes here. And like I said, this is the battery that I did the
battery level is low.
Yeah. So
Aircraft will return to the home point in 10 seconds.
Yeah, so I hit that confirm.
Return to home.
And you can see it turning around there, and it's going to come back to us. And let's see how quickly it will raise in altitude. And I can tell you what else will be interesting is the terrain directly in front of me, I think, is higher than the 9 meters that we picked the drone up. So let's see how it copes with that. And of course we have the 35 meter return to home height. So it'll be interesting to see how it copes with it. I am not going to even bother turning on my the Action 2 camera till it gets really close, because I'll tell you what, that Action 2 camera actually copes with heat pretty well with the new system that DJI put on there. But in direct sunlight like this, it wouldn't last long. Shooting in 4K, 30 frames per second. That'll tell you how robust this drone has to be, and the camera on this drone, because it's got to cope with that same kind of heat. And it's picked up, it's 19 meters above takeoff point. And I'm going to try some experimentation here. I'm going to see if I can yaw to the left, and I can't, or yaw to the right. No, you can't do that. So you cannot yaw the drone while it's in return to home. But I think what we can do is I think we can move the camera. So I'm touching the screen. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, this screen is almost too hot to touch. Yeah, gosh darn, I'm telling you, that screen is so hot. I'm going to recenter the gimbal. Wow, you saw me move the camera there for a second, but I'm telling you, it was burning my finger trying to touch that screen. And that'll tell you the kind of heat that, I'm telling you, I think I burnt my finger. I'm telling you, it was hot. But what you can do is you can touch the screen, and you can move the camera around. And I'll test that on a cooler day to see how many degrees it'll let us deflect. But yeah, we're getting close here. I think I just love this. Is so dramatic when you're close to the edge of the canyon. I love these shots. And again, here's a drone that's going to give you the confidence that you can do this because you've got that 360 OA. You're not worried about the drone running into anything. And it is nearly back to us, and I see it's raising again. It's raising some more altitude, so that's that, I can't remember what they called it, the dynamic return to home or whatever they called that. And it's almost directly over the top of us. And that's me dropping the camera straight down. And there is the landing pad. I'm starting the Action 2 camera here so that we can see if we get a landing or not. So hopefully the Action 2 camera is, yeah, it says unsuitable for landing, but I'm telling you, it is right over the pad. So I'm going to click OK. It is almost right over the pad. Let's bring it back over and straight down. And there we are on the H. So I think it would have been, it detected all the brush and stuff around it, so it didn't want to land there. But anyway, and you know what? I don't know if I was recording or not. It's definitely stopped recording. So I don't know if you guys just saw that on the screen recording, but I'm going to remember to stop the screen recording. Let me get everything shut down and we'll do a quick conclusion. Hey, okay, if you see the camera wobbling around, I got it up on the selfie stick and all of a sudden a breeze came up, so it's moving it around a little bit. But what I want to remind you is on days like today, in heat and so forth, always bring water with you in a situation like this. I'm about probably half a kilometer or so from my truck, so it's a little bit of a hike out here. You want to make sure that you're hydrated, just a little safety tip. Hey, okay, I found a better spot to put the camera. I'm right on the wall on the edge of the canyon now. In fact, I'll turn the camera around so you can see. There's this wall here on the edge of the camera, and it was a better place to put this. I got a really tiny tripod, so it was a better place to put it down. Enough of that kind of housekeeping. What we're interested in is this new Air 3 drone, and I may have called it Mavic 3 a few times in the video, I don't know, but it's the new DJI Air 3. Again, I ordered it on a Tuesday. Good work, DJI. It was in my hands on a Thursday. Sadly, I couldn't get out and fly it because I had an obligation at the racetrack on Friday, and then I had some more stuff going on this morning. But I did get out this afternoon. This is Saturday after the release to get this guy in the air, and it did not disappoint. What I didn't get to try was the ascent and descent speed. Yeah, we'll leave that for another video. But we did mess around with that telephoto lens and the wide angle lens. We tried out the top speed, and yeah, it'll do all of that 47 miles an hour or 21 meters per second as that DJI says it'll do. I mean, it performed perfectly, and as you saw, I didn't do any calibrations or anything. I mean, it didn't ask for calibrations, so I didn't do them. The drone handled perfectly, as you would expect. I will say this, in the bright sunlight, you heard me kind of complaining a little bit about looking at the controller. Even that 700 nits, boy, when you're in direct bright sunlight, it can be difficult. I could see what I was doing, but you don't get the detail that you do on a brighter screen like the RC Pro. That's really, for the most part, that's a minor thing because usually when you're flying, you're not always in the direct sunlight. But the other thing that I'll say is that controller has a fan in it. You heard the fan come on. And then when I touched the screen to try and move the gimbal on the camera when we were in return to home, son of a gun was it hot. I mean, it burnt my fingertip. I mean, that thing, I don't know how hot that thing gets. I'll have to test that sometime, but it was very, very hot. And consequently, the drone itself, when it landed, I picked it up, and of course we just landed. It's not, you know, I can pick it up, hold it, it doesn't feel that hot. But, you know, all these cameras and all these electronics, they have to deal with that stuff. And The high temperature in Fahrenheit that DJI tells you can fly this drone at is 104. Well, we're close to that. My watch right now says it's 97 degrees, so we're within 7 degrees of what that max operating temperature that DJI says you can do with this drone. We didn't have any problems. It handled just fine. Anyway, enough of that. I had a lot of fun flying this guy, and I'm glad I got to get it out for its first flight. I'm excited now to go home and edit up this video for you. God, you see these flies running around. Edit up this video for you guys to see. Yeah, so I guess that's about it. This is Marcus Crawford. Could you tell I had fun? This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Most of all, I appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And of course, we'll see you on the next one. The DJI Air 3, I'm not ready to say it yet, but this may be the best drone I've ever owned. I'm not going to lock that down yet, but it very well may be. It's really good. See you guys later. Here's a little bonus footage if you're interested, you know, standing right here on the edge of the canyon. And this is just with the Action 2. I'll just kind of do a slow sweep around here so you can see where I fly from often. And this is called Dedication Point, and this is BLM land. So yeah, it's a good spot to fly. You can see the trail down the side of the canyon there. I've seen people walking that trail. You probably I don't think you'll ever see me doing it. One slip and you'd be in trouble. But then as I turn this way, see that park bench there? That's typically where I set up to fly from, and that's where I was flying from and had the landing pad set up. Anyway, see you guys later. Bye.